Hi there, everybody. It's Adam Bushnell, the author. Fantastic if you could join me here on my YouTube channel. Thank you very, very much. It is Thursday. Not too sure what the date is, but at least getting the day of the week right. In fact, one of my lovely neighbours told me today that the only reason they know what date is because on a Tuesday and a Thursday, they're tuning into this live broadcast. So fantastic. Anyway, got some amazing work to share with you once again, including a spectacular piece of writing which I was sent a whole story from Lucy Stevenson from Oxclose Primary School, who is in year 1. Now, it starts like this. One sunny afternoon, Luca was in his bedroom. He was drawing a phoenix. That night, Luca heard the rustling of paper and he woke up with a startle. Then he saw the phoenix he had drawn earlier. It looked like this: 3 red feathers on its head, an orange body, and yellow claws with a yellow beak. "Where do you want to go?" it said. "Minecraft world," replied Luca. "Okie dokie, what do you want to travel on?" it asked. "My back or my saddle?" "A saddle, please," said Luca. "Okay then, get off your bed." Luca snatched up the saddle. They flew through the clouds. "We're here," said the phoenix. "Can we see the overworld now?" said Luca. "Of course," said the phoenix. That's only chapter 1, and there are 4 chapters in total. That is fantastic writing. I love the story. I love it that you shared it with me, and I even gave me a little idea I might draw my own phoenix, and I might even tell a phoenix story next week. Let's see how we go. Now then, it's Luca rather than Lucy. Sorry, that was my own terrible handwriting. If this wasn't a live broadcast, I would start all of this again. There is a rather large clue that it's Luca, being that that's the person in the story. I can't apologise enough. Luca Stevenson, you are a budding author. Luca Stevenson, I was not writing as good as this when I was your age. You're only in year 1 and you are writing chapter stories like this. That is fantastic. I think we've definitely got a budding author in the form of Luca Stevenson from Oxclose Primary School in Spennymoor. Keep on writing. If you write me something else, I'll read it out next week, and I promise to make sure I get your name right throughout. Next, now one of our stars who's been tuning in every single broadcast is Nina Partlet, who has discovered where the Lambton worm was fished from. This is the worm well. I don't know if you can make out the worm that she's created and put on the side there. Absolutely fantastic job there. Then we've also got, this is the Terracorn, and this is by Finlay Burden. This is a terrible unicorn, really in keeping with what we're going to be talking about today. I did promise you an evil unicorn story. And then Jacob, age 7, has created a zombie penguin. Don't know if you can make that out. This zombie penguin has a poisonous touch, a metal beak, super speed powers, and it can even fly, unlike ordinary penguins. Now, finally, Lucy Ayres, who goes to St. Godric's Primary School. Check out this model that she's been creating with her dad for a science and a geography project. How awesome is that? I think it's absolutely incredible. There's some hard work gone into that, I can tell you. Now, boys and girls, thank you very much. Thank you very much, Luca Stevenson, for accepting my sincere apology. I do hope you're enjoying the stories. And the story today is taken from this book here, which is The Evil Unicorn of Doom. I might make some changes, because I'm not just going to read the book, I'm going to tell you the story. And there is a difference between storytelling and story reading. The difference between when I'm writing my books as an author is it's a very structured, set thing that I'm doing. When I'm telling a story, it's whatever's in my head. Yes, I've got a vague structure to my story, but then I'll make lots and lots of changes to it as well, and put in characters that are relevant in my mind, etc., etc. Anyway, so, without further ado, I give you The Evil Unicorn of Doom. A long time ago, in a land far away, there was a king and a queen. The people of the land, they loved this king and queen. They thought the king and queen were fantastic. The king and queen were fair. The king and queen had amazing parties that everybody was invited to. The problem was the king and queen had a son. And the son was a total nutter. He was always running around like a crazy person, going whoop, whoop, whoop. He was always blowing raspberries in people's faces. He was always going up to people and going, nah, 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 nah. He was always being a little bit mean and a little bit crazy, and he would never listen to his parents. He was a little bit like John Lambton or Toto, characters who featured previously on this YouTube channel. The King and Queen sat the boy down and said, now listen, you're meant to be royalty. You're meant to be a little bit posh. You can't run around like a nutter anymore. Is that clear? And so, whilst, you know, this nutter prince, he wouldn't listen. He carried on running around, screaming and shouting and being like a crazy person. The King and Queen, they said, listen, you really must stop this. We're meant to be the poshest in the kingdom, and everybody loves us, and you're setting a bad example. Please stop it. But the prince wouldn't listen, and he carried on running around like a crazy person, making more rude noises and doing more rude things, until in the end, the King and Queen said to him, that's it, you're grounded. You're not allowed out for 2 weeks. It's lockdown time, baby. And so, well, the prince, he wasn't very happy about this, and the prince did something extremely naughty. He decided to run away. He ran and he ran and he ran and he ran as far away as he could, and he ran away so far that he became lost. He couldn't find his way back to the palace. Meanwhile, back at the palace, the King and Queen realised that he'd gone missing. They sent out knights on quests, but every single one of them came back empty-handed. The King and Queen, they were so sad. Each day they searched, but they couldn't find their nutter son. Now, one day, there was a little girl who was walking across the land looking for adventure. And she saw the palace and thought this would be a perfect place for adventure. So she walked right up to the front door, she hammered at it, and the butler opened and said, yes. She said, I'm a girl looking for adventure. Are there any quests that you need doing, perhaps? The butler grabbed hold of her, dragged her to the throne room and said, this girl wants to go on a quest. Maybe she should go and find the missing prince. And plopped her down onto the floor. Well, the King and Queen said, please find our missing son, the prince. Please find him. Search, if you will. Please find him. Well, the girl, she was delighted. And she said, can I choose a horse from the stable before I go? Just like Bob did in a previous story. The King and Queen agreed. So the girl went into the stables. There she saw stunning stallions and magnificent mares, and she was busy choosing her horse when all of a sudden a little goat looked up and said, meh, a little billy goat to keep the horses company. Ah, well, the girl gave the goat a little tickle under his chin, and she went back to choosing her horse when all of a sudden she heard, what you doing? The girl turned round and looked. She couldn't see anybody. She shrugged and turned back to the horses. I said, what you doing? The girl turned back again and there was nobody there but this goat. Well, the goat looked at her and smiled a big toothy grin and said, what you doing? The girl said, it's a talking goat. Ah, that's right. I'm a talking goat. You can call me Dave. I feature in Quests and Epica. It's an awesome book. It's on Adam Bushnell's YouTube channel as well. Wow, that's amazing. I've never met a talking animal before. So what are you doing then? Asked the goat. Well, I've got to go on a quest to go and find the missing prince. Can I come with you? Asked the goat. Well, I'm meant to be choosing a horse, but maybe a talking goat could be quite good fun. We could have a chat on the way. Exactly, said the goat. Get onto my back. And so the girl leapt on the goat's back, held onto the horns, and then they galloped across the land as majestically as a goat could. After a little while they were galloping across the land, suddenly the goat tripped and the goat fell. And what the goat had fallen over was a sword sticking out of the ground. The girl peered at the handle of the sword and she grabbed hold of it and pulled it free. She began to swing it this way and that way. And while she was swinging the sword, she touched a tree that was nearby. Boom! The tree exploded, but then it reformed itself back together. Only now it had fruit hanging from its branches. Whoa, said the girl. This could be a magic sword, Dave the goat. Let me try it on something else. She walked over to a dead dandelion. She touched it with a sword and boom! It exploded. When it reformed back together, it was now a beautiful rose. She said, "Ah." She noticed a cow pat on a field nearby. She went over with the sword and boom! She touched the cow pat, it exploded, but then when it reformed back together, it was now a cheeseburger. The girl said, "It is a magic sword," but the goat only had eyes for the cheeseburger. "You're not eating that," the girl said. "Come on, let's get on with the quest." She jumped back upon the goat's back, and holding the horn in one hand and the sword in the other, they majestically galloped once more across the land. After a little while, they came to a village that was completely deserted, but they heard a rustling sound coming from a bin nearby. When the girl and the goat peered into the bin, they saw that an old woman was sitting in the bin, looking up at them with frightful eyes. Her eyes were wide with fear. The whole bin was rattling and shaking as the old woman's knees knocked. The girl said, "Are you all right?" And the old woman said, "No, I'm not. I'm scared. I'm terrified. I'm petrified." The girl asked why, and the old woman said, "Because there's a dragon. It comes here every week, always on a Thursday, just after 2:30. He's missing Adam Bushnell's YouTube channel, but I think he's watching it later on, just not live. But anyway, this dragon comes here on a Thursday around 2:30 and it eats people. Might eat me, might eat you, might eat that goat." Well, the girl stood as bravely as she could, and she said, "Not today, because I have a magic sword and a talking goat. I shall rescue you from this dragon." As if on cue, there was a loud flapping of wings and a huge thudding sound as a dragon landed on the ground, scratched the ground in front of it, and roared a great and terrible roar. Dave the goat hopped into the bin with the old woman, but the girl stood bravely, waving her sword out in front of her. The dragon gnashed its terrible teeth and scratched its terrible claws. It stomped towards the girl, and the girl thwacked him over the head and said, "Stop being naughty." As soon as the sword touched the dragon, boom! The dragon exploded. And when it reformed back together, it looked a little bit different. And it sounded a little bit different. It said, "Hey, I'm not an evil dragon anymore. I'm a good dragon." Well, Dave the goat hopped out the bin and said, "Yay!" The girl, the old woman rather, hopped out of the bin and she said, "And I'm not frightened anymore." So the girl hopped on the back of Dave the goat and said, "Bye for now." Well, the old woman who wasn't frightened anymore said, "I'd like to come with you," and jumped on Dave the goat's back as well. The dragon said, "Me too," and grabbed hold of Dave the goat's tail. Dave the goat sighed and heaved as he trotted along the land with the girl, the old woman, and the dragon. But while they were trotting along, all of a sudden, an old man came out of his house. And this old man had a huge, long white beard and a pointed grey hat. He had tiny little glasses perched on the end of his nose. And he said, "My name is Barry Snotter. I'm the greatest wizard that this land has ever seen. And I saw what you did with that dragon. That was amazing. Where are you going? Can I help?" Well, the girl said, "We're off to go and see if we can find the missing prince. Maybe you could help us to find him." "Indeed I can." Well, Barry Snotter pulled out a crystal ball from his cavernous cloak. He took hold of his magical wand. He waved the magic wand over the crystal ball and he said his most magical word, which was "bananas." As soon as he said the word bananas, there was a mist inside the crystal ball that began to clear. He said, "I can see the missing prince. He is that way, inside a cave being held by a terrible creature." "Which way?" said the girl. "I cannot see." "I shall show you the way." And the wizard climbed on the back of Dave the goat, who heaved and sighed that he had to take somebody else. Well, the band of friends were off. Dave the goat, the girl, the old woman who wasn't frightened anymore, the dragon, and Barry Snotter. They all travelled across the land until they saw a creepy-looking cave. A cave with stalactites and stalagmites at the entrance, making it look like the teeth of some great monster. As soon as they neared, a terrible sight met their eyes. A unicorn stepped out, but this was no ordinary unicorn. Instead of a horn on its forehead, it had a sword. It had grey matted fur that was all stuck together. It had hooves of iron and was snorting poisonous gases from its nostrils. It said, "That missing prince belongs to me. You will all become my slaves." Well, the characters all jumped off the back of Dave the Goat and they all hid behind the dragon, and the dragon itself was shaking, terrified. But the girl, she knew no fear. She stepped forward, waving the sword. Unicorn lowered its sword-like horn and charged. The girl leapt out the way, and the unicorn charged again. She'd learned a lot from other stories on this channel. Back and forth she went, and the unicorn charged at her this way and charged at her that way. And after a while, the unicorn became breathless and panting. With a slice of her sword, she chopped off the evil unicorn's sword-like horn that fell to the floor, and as soon as the sword touched the unicorn, boom! The unicorn changed, and now it looked like a beautiful unicorn. It had a luxurious rainbow mane, rainbow tail, and hooves made of pearls and crystals. It said, "Hey everybody, look at me, I'm awesome." "Will you go and get the missing prince, please?" asked the girl. "Of course I will," said the unicorn, who trotted up to the entrance of the cave, collected the prince and brought him back down. The prince said, Where's that terrible unicorn? It's made me do all these awful jobs. I've been his slave for weeks. For weeks, I tell you. I'm never going to be a nutter again. I've learned my lesson. Take me back to the palace, please." Well, the merry band travelled back to the palace. Dave the Goat, the girl, the frightened woman who wasn't frightened anymore, the dragon who turned good, Barry Snotter the wizard, the evil unicorn who turned into a good one, and the prince all returned to the palace. And when they got there, the king and queen were delighted, especially when they heard the news that the prince would no longer be a nutter. A party was held. They ate, they drank, and they danced the night away, and probably went on to have lots more of other adventures. Or maybe we'll share those another time. Hope you enjoyed that story. That story is actually based upon a Viking legend that is over 1,000 years old. Now, as well as my YouTube channel, I have been recommending Liz Million's YouTube channel. I was watching that earlier today, and I went onto a video of how to draw a unicorn. And here it is. Now, I'm not very good at art, but I'm quite happy with that, all because Liz Million does it in a step-by-step way, making it easy for everybody to become illustrators. Only, I thought that now that I've got this beautiful unicorn, I could add some of my own features to it. So I'm going to take a pen and I'm going to add some features to my unicorn. Have you got any suggestions for me? If you do, stick them in the live chat and I'll add them to my picture. The first thing I'm going to do is give it some sharp teeth. Then I think I'll give it an evil eyebrow to make it look like it's up to no good. It might even have some saliva dripping from those terrible teeth. And I think I'll give it a horn on the end of its nose like that. Then I think I'm going to give it some bat's wings upon its back. Then I think I'll give it some scars. Then I think I'll give it some claws on its hooved feet. Can you see that I am taking the idea that from Liz Million's unicorn and I'm turning it into a monster? I might even give it evil powers. For example, being able to breathe out fire, or being able to breathe out poisonous gases from its nostrils. Maybe the activity that you could do is to beastify a unicorn that you can draw from Liz Million's channel. And if you do beastify a unicorn, then you could send it to me. I see on one of the comments, it looks like I'm getting an evil unicorn story sent to me, which would be fantastic. Remember that zombie sheep that we heard about on Tuesday? Maybe you could do a zombie unicorn. You could write an evil unicorn story and send it to me. It might give me ideas to do an Evil Unicorn of Doom sequel. Send me your pictures, send me your models, send me your stories. I love to receive them. And I cannot wait to see the illustrations that you do based on Liz Million's YouTube channel. Okay, got some shout outs for you. Let's have a little look. First of all, a big shout out to Stamfordham Primary School. I hope to see you guys soon. In fact, all of them in the Ponteland cluster. I miss you guys, and hopefully I'll be back to see you in September. Another big shout out to one of my most loyal viewers and subscribers, Kai Ming Vo from Hanoi in Vietnam. I hope you were tuning in today because that's your big shout out. And I hope I'll get to see you again soon when I'm back to traveling to lots of different countries. A birthday shout out. Got a couple of these actually. In fact, I think I've got 3 birthday shout outs. Firstly, birthday shout out to Elijah, who is 7 on Sunday. Happy birthday to you. Shout out to my godson, Axel. I miss you so much. Axel, who is 6 years old today. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday. And belated happy birthday greetings to Lucy Ayres. Happy birthday to you. Watch what you're doing on those roller skates. A big shout out to Keith, the hoof cobbler. You know who you are. Another shout out to Ngozi. Ngozi, who is from All Saints School in Malawi. Hello to my friends in Malawi. I hopefully get to visit you guys again as well. And a huge, enormous, gargantuan shout out to all the people who entered the Little Did I Know story writing competition. I've had the absolute honour and privilege to be one of the judges along with Liz Million and along with Jessica the illustrator. Fantastic entries, hundreds and hundreds of them. You have been keeping me entertained on this lockdown. The judges and myself, we have selected not only the 6 finalists, but also the 2 winners. Can't announce it on this channel, unfortunately. But next Thursday, the winning entries to that story writing competition, I am going to be reading out the 2 stories for primary. The 2 stories, one for primary, one for secondary. I'll read those out next week on my YouTube channel. So if you have entered, fingers crossed you have won that story writing competition. Seriously, the quality of the writing was just astonishing. So well done to everyone who entered. Okay, shout outs. If you do want to shout out, stick a comment on the live chat. Get in touch via my website, author Adam Bushnell, or just adambushnell.co.uk. Get in touch via Instagram. Get in touch via Twitter or Facebook. It's all just Adam Bushnell or author Adam, and I'll give you a shout out. Don't forget to tell your friends to subscribe and to like the YouTube channel as well. Don't forget to hop over to Liz Million's YouTube channel and check out How to Draw the Unicorn, among very many other tremendous videos. Next live storytelling will be on Tuesday at 2:30. That will be storytelling day 16. Thank you so much for those loyal people who keep on tuning in. Also, Quests and Epica chapter 14 will be going live, will be uploaded rather to the YouTube channel tomorrow. So I'll get recording that just now actually. So remember, reading takes you to other places. Keep tuning into the channel so that I can take you to different places. But in the meantime, stay safe, stay indoors, and stay positive. Thank you so much for joining me again, and I shall see you very, very soon. Bye for now.